So we got breaking news. Breaking news. You got Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Bud Crawford, undisputed 147-pound fighter, saying that he wants to fight the winner of Canelo Charlo at 168 pounds. He's saying if, Jermell Charlo wins, he'll fight him at 168. He said if Canelo wins, he'll fight him at 168. Now, I got a lot of respect for Terrence Bud Crawford. I think Terrence Bud Crawford is an elite fighter. I think he's an excellent fighter. He's a Hall of Famer. Understand all of that. Also, everybody's asking me where the source of all of this is. Terrence Crawford gave an interview on the Joe Rogan podcast where he said that he would fight the winner of Canelo Charlo at 168. He says the biggest fight in boxing is Canelo Crawford. He wants all of the smoke with Canelo at 168. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Everybody wants a Canelo Alvarez payday. Everybody wants to get paid, and I'm not mad at Bud Crawford for wanting it. I just want to make something abundantly clear. Abundantly clear. And I don't want any misunderstanding. As much as I like Bud Crawford, as great of a fighter as he is, there's weight classes for a reason. There is. And Canelo Alvarez will literally destroy Terrence Crawford. So you see what Terrence Crawford did to Errol Spence? Canelo Alvarez would do that to Terrence Crawford. He would put Terrence Crawford to sleep. Understand, all of these people saw Terrence Crawford beat the brakes off of Errol Spence and then say, oh, he can beat Canelo. Those are casuals. Because if you think Canelo Alvarez is the same fighter as Errol Spence, you're smoking crack. Only somebody that's stupid to believe that Canelo and Errol Spence is the same fighter. They're nowhere near the same fighter. Canelo Alvarez is an elite fighter, a Hall of Famer. Errol Spence couldn't even go undisputed in his own division against a smaller fighter. So don't ever tell me that Canelo and Errol Spence are the same. I'm so sorry. That's just not possible. That's just not possible. But I like Terrence Crawford. I think he's an excellent fighter, but at 168 pounds, Canelo Alvarez sends this man to hell. He beats him easy. He stops him easy. It's not even a close fight. He's going to blow out Terrence Crawford, and that's no disrespect to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford at 154, at 147, Terrence Crawford can reign king and supreme. I don't see anybody beating him at 54. I don't see anybody beating him at 47. Much respect to Bud Crawford. I got a lot of respect for Terrence Crawford, but Canelo Alvarez destroys him at 168. Easy work. Easy work. Easy work. Dragon leg, you're missing it. Terrence Crawford is not asking for a catch weight. He's not saying 155, 158. Terrence Crawford on the Joe Rogan podcast said he would go up to 168 and fight the winner of Canelo Charlo. If that's what he wants, go up to 168, and Canelo Alvarez is going to cook Bud Crawford in way worse than Bud Crawford cooked Errol Spence. Just understand that that's what you're going to be looking for. Understand that that's what's going to happen. I have no problem. Everybody wants a Canelo payday. I'm not mad at it. I have no problem with it. But Bud Crawford said on the Joe Rogan podcast he wants to go up to 168 and fight Canelo. This is what he said. So if he's okay with that, I have no problem with that. Understand, I don't want anybody saying Canelo cherry picking. I don't want anybody saying he's ducking Benavidez or anybody else. Who do you want him to fight? That's all I'm saying. I don't want anybody saying there's any cherry picking. There's none of that. Canelo has an elite chin, great defense, elite power. He's putting Bud Crawford to sleep. Canelo can literally walk through everything Terrence Crawford is going to throw. Errol Spence couldn't even get past his jab. Those are two different fighters. Two completely different fighters. Completely different fighters. Canelo is just too big, too strong for Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford's an excellent fighter at 47-54, but his best win is against Errol Spence. Errol Spence is nowhere near close to the level of Canelo Alvarez. I mean, I'm so sorry to say it, but Canelo demolishes Terrence Crawford easily. And I love Crawford. I respect Crawford. But Spence is nowhere near the same level as Canelo. Anybody saying, oh, Crawford's going to go up to 68 and knock out Canelo, they're smoking crack. You're stupid enough to believe that Canelo and Errol Spence has the same chin, the same power, the same skills. We'll see. What about Benavidez? I don't know. Would Terrence Crawford go up to 168 and fight David Benavidez? I don't know. I really don't know. If he's willing to go up for Canelo, then he may be willing to go up for Benavidez. I will, if that's what Crawford wants. If Crawford want to go up and fight Canelo, will he fight David Benavidez? I don't know. We'll see. My brother says Canelo has an iron chin, defense. Errol is too stiff. No comparison at all. But, people like to think that Canelo and Spence is the same. Canelo has an elite chin, elite power, elite defense, elite skills. Errol Spence is nowhere near the level of Canelo Alvarez, and I think that that's the problem. People just think it's a size thing. It's not about size. Canelo has skills. Canelo has power. Canelo has levels and dimensions to his game. But if Terrence Crawford wants to smoke, and everybody's asking for it, I have no problem with the fight. All I'm saying is give Canelo credit when he knocks out Terrence Crawford. When Canelo knocks out Terrence Crawford, just give him the credit. That's all I want to say. Just give him the credit, because if people want to ask for this fight, give him the credit. Just like everybody said Canelo was ducking Jermell Charlo. Now I've heard all week that Canelo's going to get knocked out by Jermell Charlo. Well, if that's the case, that's all I want to say. If that's the case, right? If that's the case, give Canelo credit for when he beats Charlo. Give Canelo credit when he puts Bud Crawford to hell. Give Canelo the same credit. Give him the same. That's all I'm saying. Give him the same credit. I have no problem with it, but give him the credit. Don't say it's a cherry pick after he whoops this guy's ass. My brother Dragon Led said Errol Spence is one-dimensional, completely one-dimensional, has nothing else in his game. This is a problem. Canelo's an elite counterpuncher. Errol Spence couldn't tell his head from his ass when he fought Terrence Crawford. Don't ever make the comparison of Canelo and Errol Spence. Completely different. Canelo Alvarez is giving out paydays and ass whoopings on the PBC. Mark my word. You will see Canelo Alvarez knock out Terrence Crawford. He's going to put a foot in Jermell Charlo's ass. Canelo Alvarez is the truth at 168 pounds. Nobody's beating Canelo at 168. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. And at the end of the day, that's Canelo's best weight. He's undefeated at 168. A lot of people don't know that. The best chin, the best power, the best defense. Don't ever tell me anybody is going to go up for 147, 154 and beat Canelo. I don't see it. Canelo's going to cook Bud Crawford, and he's going to do to Bud Crawford what Bud Crawford did to Errol Spence. And it's taking nothing away from Bud Crawford. And much respect to Bud Crawford. No hate to Bud Crawford. It's that there are weight classes for a reason. And understand, if Bud Crawford at 47, he's a killer. Bud Crawford at 54, he's a killer. I don't know what Bud Crawford can do at 160. I don't know how his speed, his power, and his timing even does at 160. But when you get to 168, it's a different ball game. It's a big, big jump. And I'm not sure Terrence Crawford can even survive 4 or 5 rounds. I just believe Canelo cooks him in 6 rounds. That's my opinion. I just don't even think it's close. I think Canelo destroys him. My brother Morales, salute to you, family. He says divisions matter, Nuke. They absolutely. And jumping up weight classes, taking on, I admire his courage. I admire the fact that he has the balls to get in there and want to do this. But understand, there's levels in boxing, and Canelo Alvarez not only has power, not only has a chin, not only has, the skills and all of this stuff. It's a completely different weight class at 168. So understand, don't ever compare Canelo to Errol Spence. Those are completely different fighters with completely different fighting styles. I got a lot of respect for Bud Crawford. I understand he might want a payday. I understand this could be based on a payday. But Bud Crawford is getting sent straight to hell if this fight happens. It's not going to be no close fight. It ain't going to no decision. He's going to put Bud Crawford to sleep. That's what's going to happen. And I don't want anybody to say Canelo don't get credit, because Bud Crawford's asking for it. Just like Jermell Charlo's asking for it. These guys are asking for the fight. So we're not going to give Canelo the credit he wants? Come on now. Let's just keep the same energy. Let's keep it. My brother Seversetto Music says, we got to put a limit on these dream matchup. It's okay to say what if, but Bud has no business at 168, and Canelo shouldn't go to 158 or 160. Canelo's not going down in weight. Canelo's already made it abundantly clear. He is not going down in weight. Canelo's the B side to nobody. He's the A side. So with Canelo Alvarez being the A side, Bud Crawford said, I'd go up there and fight him. Bud Crawford knows what comes with those problems. You go up there to fight him. Bud Crawford don't mind getting cooked. Bud Crawford is okay with getting beat down for a payday, and I have no problem with that. Why shouldn't Bud Crawford get the same payday as everybody? I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. But it's all good. Look, let's just be honest and unbiased. Canelo Alvarez is not Errol Spence. He's not a welterweight. Canelo Alvarez is at another level, and he is the face of boxing. That's why everybody from 147, heavyweights, cruiserweights, welterweights, middleweights, everybody wants to fight Canelo Alvarez. And I have no problem with that, but understand that it's different. It's different at 168 pounds. Somebody just compared Crawford and Bivol. Completely different weight classes, completely different fighters, completely different styles. Dimitri Bivol was the #1 defensive fighter in boxing, and Canelo Alvarez came into the fight injured at 175. Canelo's never lost at 168. Canelo's losing to no one at 168. Let's just be honest and unbiased about it. But yeah, I agree. Bud Crawford has no business at 168, but if he wants to go up there, he's more than welcome to get cooked. Canelo Alvarez is going to destroy Bud Crawford if he goes to 168, and I don't want anybody hating. I don't want anybody with any slander for Canelo. If that's the case, Canelo sleeps Bud at 168. Canelo's #1 pound for pound, period. There's no questions. There's no nothing. Period. He's #1 because this is what the people ask for. This is what they're saying. So #1 pound for pound, period. Period. My brother Adrian says, salute Nuke, everyone that wants that retirement money. Notice how Jermell didn't use his mouth at the presser like he does with everyone else. That's right. Jermell Charlo came in, seen Canelo, and all of his energy changed up because he know Canelo Alvarez has hands, has feet, has skills, has a chin. He's like no one else that Jermell Charlo has ever fought. And he's going to go in there and he's going to run for his dear life until Canelo catches him and puts a foot in his ass. That's what's going to happen. Salute to you, Adrian. My brother Mike Trade says, it's crazy how people really think Bud can beat Canelo. People are so delusional. Just because he beats Spence doesn't mean he can beat Canelo. Canelo will knock him out. Exactly. People somehow think that beating Errol Spence is the equivalent of being able and fighting a fighter on the level of Canelo Alvarez. As much as I love Bud Crawford, I think he's the king at 47. I think he's the king at 54. I think Bud Crawford is a special generational talent and taking nothing away from him. But you jump up to 168, that's different. You're getting knocked out, and they better give Canelo the same credit that they give everybody else. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because this is what they're asking for. This is what they're asking for. My brother Live to Grind says, why is Canelo the only one fighting everyone? Let's get Benavidez versus Morrell, Bivol, Dudu versus Plant, Jamal versus Triple G, Tank versus Crawford. And I think everybody wants a piece of Canelo because there's a payday behind it. If Canelo Alvarez was not a big payday, there would be no one wanting that smoke. All these guys are okay with getting knocked out if they're going to get, millions and millions of dollars in a loss. They're okay with that. That's okay. King Knockout says, Bud better stay away from Canelo, y'all. It's not going to end well. It's not going to end well, but he wants it. So you got to give people what they want. He wants a payday, give him that payday. But he's getting sent to hell. And it's not even going to be close. Hold on. And we all know it's a payday. Much respect to Bud. I have no issues with Bud. The Boxing Ram said the Bud sections will change their tune now after claiming Bud beats Canelo. Now they'll claim Canelo is cherry picking a smaller man and make excuse. That's exactly what's going to happen. And look, you gotta keep the same energy. You gotta keep the same energy. That's all I'm saying. Bud is asking for this kind of jump. He's getting knocked out. That's why anybody who ever asked me, say, you think Canelo can go up to heavyweight and beat those guys? I've always said, no, that's too big of a jump for Canelo. Canelo gets destroyed at heavyweight, but Bud gets destroyed at 68 by Canelo. It's just a completely different fight. You can't make a comparison. You just can't do it. Terrence Crawford is going to be put out on a stretcher if he goes up and fights Canelo Alvarez. And Bud's a great fighter. He's just not a 168-pound fighter. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. Much respect for Bud. Much love to Bud. My brother Melvin Bailey in the building. Salute to you, sir. He said, I'd pay to see this, but I don't think you can beat Canelo at 68. Brother Bud, just wait for Jamel after he loses to be the first to be undisputed at 3 weight classes in a row. Salute. Salute to you, Melvin. That's my thought. Go clean up Tim Tszyu, beat Charlo after he comes back down, and then you can be undisputed at those 3 weight classes consecutively, and then you can be, a special fighter in history for the history books. Don't go up to 168, get knocked out, and ruin your legacy. And people say, man, Bud was never the same after that knockout. Bud was never the same after that. He could never recover from that. Much love to Bud Crawford, but this is stupid. And Canelo's going to cook him. Canelo's going to cook him. This guy named himself Meat Man. Salute to you, man. He says Charlo wants to speak to the manager after getting slapped. Jamal Karen Charlo is what we call him. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Dragonless said Canelo wasn't injured against Bivol, discredited Bivol performance. He was injured. He was actually injured since the Caleb Plant fight. Go back, do your research. You come on here looking stupid, trying to discredit what I'm saying, then you get body bagged. I don't want to body bag your dragon leg. I'm just telling you, his hand was injured since the Caleb Plant fight. You realize he had surgery, right? Think about it. This is not taking credit. These are speaking facts. That's all it was. And Bivol rejected a rematch with Canelo at 175. That's all you can say, because he did not want a rematch a healthy Canelo. That's what Bivol's own manager said. Not what I said, what Bivol's manager said. People like to always make this about me. Not about me. I'm just spitting the facts. And I can drop any article. I can drop any fact. I can drop their own words. At the end of the day, much love to Bud Crawford. Canelo Alvarez, that's not really a fight I want to see. I'd rather see Canelo fight the Charlos. I'd rather see him fight Benavidez. I'd rather see him rematch Bivol. I would rather see all of those fights. But I do not want to see Canelo versus Bud at 168. But if the fight happens, Canelo cooks him easy, stops him within 6 rounds. It won't even be close. I mean, that's it. That's all it is. That's all it is. I mean, salute to my brother Kevin in the building. He said Canelo had one hand, but unlike Wilder fans and Spence fans, we don't make excuses. No excuses. We just want the rematch. That's all. That's all everybody wants is the rematch. We want Canelo Alvarez to fight guys at 68 and 75, not a welterweight moving up. But if the fight happens, Canelo by murder. I'm sorry. Salute to my brother Adrian. He says Benavidez said he ain't going to fight at 175 until he gets that Canelo fights. These cowards ain't making the moves. They all waiting for Canelo. Everybody wants a Canelo payday, and I'm not mad at it because everybody wants to get paid. But at the same time, the Bud Crawford Charlo fight's a big fight. No shame in that. But it's a different level when you talk about Canelo Alvarez. It's a different level at 168. That's all I'm saying. My brother Oliver Rodriguez says, I remember on the interview how Bud said he won't fight Canelo. That's why there's weight divisions. That's his own comment. Now Bud Crawford is saying that he'd do it. It's obviously the money. It's obviously the payday. He understands that he's going to go in there and get cooked, but he wants to get paid. Bud Crawford to have a big paycheck, but he'd walk out looking like Errol Spence, lumps up all inside his head. My brother Sweet Sign says, and Tank is quiet about moving up to fight Bud. Tank Davis has never found his nuts to fight anybody. So I'm not surprised that he gets quiet. He gets silent whenever anybody talks about a potential fight with Terrence Crawford and, a guy like Gervonta Tank Davis. You see that's not going to happen. You see that's not going to happen. You see it because Tank Davis won't fight people in his own weight class. Tank Davis won't fight the killers in his own weight class. That's it. That's it. That's it. So at the end of the day, we understand it. I respect Bud Crawford. He's an elite fighter. He's a great fighter. Much respect to Terrence Bud Crawford, but I believe he can reign supreme and king at 47, 54, but don't go to 68. That's not good for you. That's not good for boxing. But if you really want it, you get knocked out at 68. It's not even a close fight. Anybody saying Canelo gets knocked out is simply a delusional fanboy who don't know anything about boxing. My brother Frankie24 says Mel definitely hates Maul when asked about the slap. He said, I don't know. I'm focused on my fight and I ain't messing up my bag. Payday. That's what I'm saying. We understand who the better Charlo is, and that's Jermell Charlo. That's why Canelo's willing to fight the better Charlo, the more accomplished Charlo. That's what it is, the pound for pound Charlo. So we got to keep the same energy. Everybody wants a Canelo Alvarez payday because men lie, women lie, but the facts don't lie.